Welcome to Nexpart B2C for eBay sellers. My name is Michael Bernholtz. I'm the president and founder of Sophio Software. Sophio is the creator of Nexpart B2C. Okay, here is the schedule of events. We're going to talk about 6 key features that have been added to Nexpart B2C for making it easier to sell at your eBay store. The first is supplier inventory aggregation automation. In other words, many suppliers in and a single feed out. A key feature that's been very challenging for eBay sellers to date. Next is importing orders from your eBay store into Nexpart B2C so you can automate or semi-automate fulfillment via your Nexpart transaction engine. Third, import eBay returns and cases so you can automate reverse logistics, in other words, returns. Create canned messages to eBay buyers from your B2C dashboard. This is one of my favorite. Gone are the days of the tedious copy and pasting of your messages that you're typing the same thing over and over and over again. Next is reconciliation of PayPal transaction history against the purchases and credits that have gone on in the current day, week, or month. Very important to do. There's always tons of issues that are discovered inside of PayPal regarding transactions that you may not have even been aware of. Next, manage multiple eBay stores in a single admin console. Most of our successful eBay sellers have multiple stores, and managing the transactions from multiple stores in multiple dashboards and multiple systems can be quite a pain. With Nexpart B2C, you can manage all of your stores from a single console. And finally, we're going to look at some advanced configuration options and run through those quickly, as well as give you some references if you'd like to speak with some of our current sellers. All right, let's look at some of the screenshots. So here we are, first up, supplier inventory aggregation. What you see here is a list of various suppliers configured to a Nexpart B2C site. Each night, the system looks at the configuration of the supplier and either downloads a file from their FTP server or it consumes a file that's been uploaded to your FTP site from the supplier. It goes through each one by one, and when the process is done, it exports a single feed that gets sent to eBay Link. You don't have to do anything once it's set up. The whole purpose of this is to be able to have a single eBay store with multiple suppliers. And yes, you can be one of the suppliers as well as the factories and warehouse distributors that you do business with. Second, eBay order import. Now, if you're an existing Nexpart B2C seller, you'll be familiar with this screen. This is what we call the invoice report. A new type of order has been added, and we mark that order EB when it comes in from eBay. All right, and as you can see, everything works exactly the same as the typical B2C transaction, except that the order type is EB for eBay. You do not have to pay an additional transaction fee for processing an eBay order. That's because you're already paying transaction fees to eBay and WHI for eBay sourced orders. Returns and cases. Now this is by far the biggest module that we've created to work with eBay. The important thing to understand is we're using the eBay API to extract cases and returns. We then import them into Nexpart B2C, process them, and send the results back to eBay via the API. In other words, it can be a totally hands-off process if you're a no-hassle return seller and you use Nexpart B2C to manage returns. So let's say a little bit slower as to how and what we do. When we check for orders for your eBay store, we also check for cases and returns. We then import the data that we discover into your B2C store. We look at the return request or the case request. We figure out who the supplier was of the part. We also discover at that time the manufacturer, and we track all of this information within the system. If that particular supplier needs an RMA before the part can be returned, we generate an email to that supplier. Inside of that email is a link. The supplier then clicks that link, is brought into a secure part of your website or area of your website, and they actually manually type in the RMA number. In other words, you don't have to do anything. Once the system gets that RMA number, it then sends the RMA and return address to eBay. It attaches it to eBay. eBay notifies the consumer. A label is printed, and away you go. Now, if you look carefully at this screen, you can see there's a lot of other features you can do. You can manually assign an RMA. You can also manually assign a credit memo. So if you're doing business with your supplier manually because they don't have a fully automated system, you know, when it comes time to tell the return system that you got a credit, you can assign the credit memo. You can click a button to run a report that shows you all of the missing credits. You can do that by supplier. So if you want to generate a file that you can generate an Excel file to request credits from your supplier, you can do that. And again, if you look carefully, there's lots of different features here for generating reports, all very important to make sure that you're collecting and giving back the money to your customers. You can see that you can generate a manifest, right? And that's for printing out a document to stick in the box when you're sending back a whole batch of returns to a given supplier. You can do supplier analysis that will tell you the sales, purchases, and returns so you can see how good or bad you're doing with returns with a given supplier. Maybe it's time to delist some of those items because the returns are too high. And finally, you can reconcile your returns against PayPal, which you're going to see another screenshot in a second. So this is an inside. Once you run the report on the previous slide, this is what it looks like when you get back a result. If you're an experienced eBay seller, you'll recognize here is a marketplace return ID that begins with 5. All cases and returns on eBay begin with the number 5. And here is a supplier RMA that came from one of the suppliers. Okay? Now, if you wanted to refund this order, all you'd have to do is click here to refund, and it would be that simple. Now notice it's showing you that there's no supplier credit memo, so you might want to be careful. You may not be ready to give the refund back yet. That's the whole point of this system, or this module, I should say. Next up is eBay canned messaging. So if you're a busy eBay seller, you know you get lots of eBay messages. Well, typical sellers only respond to messages from buyers for actual transactions. And because of that, we've created a way to make it easy to communicate with your existing buyers. So inside of the invoice report, once you've clicked on an actual order, it brings up the order management screen. And you can see we've added here a menu called messaging. And here are canned messages that have been created. So once you choose a canned message, it brings up the canned message. If you want to edit it, you don't have to edit it, of course. You can just click send. We then use the eBay API and we send the message to the buyer, and the message is actually stored just as if you would manually type the message on eBay itself. Very, very cool feature. This is what it looks like when you're creating the message, or if you want to edit the canned message. You can see that you can assign messages to message groups and subgroups. The reason that we manage the messages this way is so that we can display the messages inside of the B2C platform in context. In other words, we're not going to show you pre-sales messages inside of a post-sale document. Make sense? Okay. And here finally is what the message looks like when it shows up in eBay. It looks just as if you've manually typed the message yourself within the eBay messaging system. All right, now we mentioned before reconciliation of returns. We also have a module that allows you to reconcile all of PayPal against your sales and your returns. So it's a really good idea to do this each day, each week, or at the minimum each month, where what you do is you download your PayPal transaction history, you import it into Nexpart B2C, you push a button to process it, and then the output shows you a screen like this where you can see what's been reconciled and what hasn't been reconciled. So all of the non-reconciled transactions need to be looked at. Got it? Great. Okay, we talked about managing multiple stores from a single dashboard. Here's a screenshot showing multiple store IDs all coming up in one list for a given day. All right, very, very important. Makes it so much easier to manage multiple stores with a single console. All right, we're almost done. Now, this is a screenshot of the advanced configuration options. We're not going to go through each one of these features, but if you look carefully, some of the cool things you can do is you can control titles. So our system will generate titles for your eBay listings. For example, if you want your eBay listing to have fitment information in it, you might want consolidated fitment information. For example, you'll want to say 1985-1987 Volvo 240/740 oil filter man. So we'll generate those titles for you if you want us to, and you control that here where it says eBay title type. In other words, the advanced configuration page allows you to control things like the data that's getting sent up to WHI, minimum selling prices. Let's say you want to have different selling prices in eBay than you do from your B2C site. You can control that here. You can see the minimum stock. In other words, don't even send any items up to WHI's eBay link if the minimum stock is, this number or greater. Sorry, less than or equal to this number. You can see also maximum stock, right? You only get $50 million that you can list on eBay. Well, you might have 5,000 of an item in stock. This allows you to control in one simple place the maximum number that you would ever submit to eBay. Got it? All right. Listen, that is a quick review of the Nexpart B2C eBay module. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email, michael@sofio.com. Or if you're interested in talking to some of our customers, here's some names, some eBay store names, contact names, and phone numbers. I hope that was informational or helped out. Have a great day.